This is me building my personal finance community in public. So it's personal finance stuff. So I want to give you guys value immediately. So any questions or thoughts that you have, make sure to get down in there for that. The reason why you probably clicked on this video, we're also going to talk about thoughts on my mind to help you reach your financial goals faster. So the real reason you aren't saving money, oof, could get interesting. I have some data to back it up. Okay, saving is a choice, and I'm going to prove it. And then we're going to talk about the community itself, and kind of talk through everything like that. So first, let's go to the YouTube comments. Go to the community tab, and no comments. Anything here that the place for you guys to any video on the YouTube channel. So I'm going live every single night. Hopefully around, and I do apologize. I have had a couple people ask me like, "Hey, when are you exactly going live?" I don't know. So I apologize for that. It's going to be like kind of one of the last things I do at night. And what I'm trying to do really is create a daily habit. Because for me, if it's important that I want to grow my community, it would be silly not to make a video every day and talk about the community, just talk about personal finance in general and build up a community of like-minded people. And I have to change where my face is located. There we go. And yeah, so that's why I want to do the comments first, because I think that's super valuable. But that's okay. We're going to talk about the next thing here, the real reason why you aren't saving money. Now, this could hurt some people's feelings, I think. I'm just going to be real, but it doesn't make sense for me to like fluff anything up or sugarcoat it, right? I think you guys just want like information and maybe a process of how to do the thing. So what I want to do is go into a presentation that used to be inside of my free personal finance community. And I took it out because it was more of what I really want. I really just wanted to narrow. I made like all this content in there, and I think it was just kind of overwhelming, first of all. So I really narrowed it down to now there is a, so this is the community. And if you were to go in the classroom, there's just really one video. It's called The Power of $100. And if you watch this at like 1.25 speed or something, it'll happen in 30 minutes for you. And it's literally the step-by-step process. I am not sharing my screen. The step-by-step process of how I personally paid off $43,000 of debt in just over a year. And now there's people inside the community that are doing the same, which is very, very cool. Oh, we must have had a bunch of new members today. That's very cool. So let's go back to the presentation really quickly. So yeah, I took this one out, but I think this part of the presentation is very, very helpful, impactful. So let's kind of go through this, because one of the main reasons why I feel like I needed to make the community was because I hated seeing all the stats out there around how Americans specifically, these are American stats, but like really around the world, and how like personal finances and how people are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck or in a ton of debt, okay, or no savings. So some of these were going to be pretty alarming. 78% of Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck. So that includes, by the way, people making over $100,000, people making over $200,000. Like it's not just like, um, quote, lower income people. Like it's everyone, because if you don't have a process in place, like if your income scales and you don't have a process, then so do your expenses. It's just kind of how it works. So if you're used to just spending your paychecks all the time, if you go from 2,000 a month to 5,000 a month to 10,000 a month, you're going to be spending, your expenses are going to be going up incrementally as well if you're not careful. 56% of Americans could not afford a $1,000 emergency expense. Okay, so that's over half of people basically have $1,000 in cash available at any moment in time, which is just nuts. 12% of debt payments, 12% debt payment to income ratio. Yeah, sorry about that. So basically, one out of every $8 goes towards paying off debt for consumers. And the average American household debt, which includes a mortgage, is $104,000. And that makes sense with mortgages, right? I think the non-mortgage number is mid to low 20s the last time I looked. The average salary is $60,000 to $69,000, depending on different reporting that I found. And for me, the math just ain't math. And I mean, look at all this stuff here. Um, so basically, like an average American has, if you have $1,000 of cash available anytime, you're already ahead of 56% of Americans. I mean, that just seems crazy, right? So kind of I feel like my responsibility is to make sure that like how can I personally be responsible for reducing some of these numbers? Like that would be pretty cool. It also sounds pretty overwhelming, but like that's also why I'm doing this thing daily. I care a lot about this, and I hope that that comes off through the content and everything like that. But we have to dive a little deeper. So there was another study that was done that shows. Let me try to make this a little bigger for you guys. Yeah, get my fat head out of the way. Oopsies. Um, so basically, it was why are Americans living paycheck to paycheck? And they asked a bunch of people, and these people were able to list out, I believe, three things. That's why the percentages won't equal 100%. So everyone said three things as to why they thought they were living paycheck to paycheck. So they have this broken down by the reasons and then by the generations. Okay, so kind of surprising um, the reasons on here, in my opinion, but as I'm going through this, just kind of take a peek at some of these other, like, what generation are you, and do you agree with the percentages that fell into these buckets? So we have high monthly bills, lack of budgeting. Let me go to the next page here. Financial planning, low income, unexpected emergencies, increase in the cost of living, social pressures, medical expenses, financially supporting family members, and debt. And this is kind of weird, the debt one, because I don't think this is true. There's no way only 6% of people. Here's my thought on this. After speaking to many people about their personal finances, I think a lot of people call debt a bill that they have. So I think that was sort of the. I think this is misleading. I think this would be way higher if the people that call their debt bills, because I've talked to people where they're like, "Hey, I'm budgeting like all my bills every month. I pay, I've my rent and my utilities and my debts and all these other things." And I think people lump debt into the phrase bills. But yeah, let me know, what generation are you, and like, do you agree? Like, looks like Gen Z, it's 65% high monthly bills. Millennials, I think, was the lack of budgeting and financial planning. Gen X, it was a tie between high monthly bills and low income. And then baby boomers was increasing cost of living. Okay. And then this is all obviously ordered in percentage of the total. So why am I sharing all of this? Well, I think and kind of to go back to the beginning of the video here, that savings is actually a choice. Saving money is a choice. That could be tough to hear, right? And here's why. If you look at all of these, if you look at the list here, like how many of these things are out of our control? High monthly bills, I mean, technically those are in our control, I think. Right? Like we choose to buy stuff, we choose to live how we live. I would say that those are in our control. Lack of budgeting and financial planning, that is in our control, right? We can control that. That is a skill that people have. Like people in this world have skills of budgeting and financial planning. So if other people do, then we all can, right? Low income, that is something that we can control. And again, this might be harder to hear, but like how can you provide more value to either your company or just the workforce in general, or another company, or on your nights or weekends or whatever, you try learning a new skill so that you can level up all your stuff there. So that's something that is in our control. Unexpected emergencies are not in our control, but what we can control is having the money to be able to fend off those unexpected emergencies, right? So yes, stuff happens. I could drive down the street tomorrow and a nail goes in my tire. I can't really control that, but I can control having enough money to be able to pay for it, right? Increase in cost of living. We obviously don't have control on this. We don't, but we do in a way of like, okay, we know it's going to keep going up. So how do we keep adjusting our either our lifestyle or our income to be able to sort of match this cost of living. And I get that it's intense. Like, baby boomers, basically 2/3 of baby boomers say that this is the one of the main reasons why um, they say that they're living paycheck to paycheck. So while we are not in control of it, we can control um, our situation personally, right? Social pressures. This one just seems silly to me. Like, we buy stuff to impress people. We can control that, right? Medical expenses, that one's tough. Probably, yeah, we can't control that. Unfortunately. Financially supporting family members. This is tough as well. I don't know what they meant by family members. So, is it you're giving money to your third cousin? Is it like, hey, I need to help my parents? Is it talking about kids? I don't know, but I would just say in general, um, this is tough. I put a check mark here. It could probably go either way, right? And then debt. I put the I made this little power of. Can you guys see this? Power of $100. Whatever emoji thing here, because that's kind of what I talk about inside the community. Power of $100. There you go. I spent one extra minute on that, creating that emoji for you guys. But does this kind of make sense? Like, we are in control of almost all these things. Do you guys disagree with any of these? Let me know. And of course, but wait, there's more. And I promise we're almost done with the charts and graphs section of the video here. This is, I'm going to make this bigger again. Smaller. There we go. This is the personal savings rate in the last 25 years of the United States. So basically, what this is saying is what percentage of income are people, we'll call it like putting towards financial goals, like saving money, right? So saving money to me is like saving money, investing, I guess, yeah, just kind of like generally saving money, or I think just putting money towards a financial goal. If you look at this chart, and I know it's harder to maybe see, but the axis down here is the years. So it goes from 2000 through, this is 2024, okay? And then this is the percent of the savings rate. So we have 0%, 5%, 10%, 15%, right? All the way up. Now you can see pretty historically over the last 25 years, I would say it's mostly hovered around this 5% line. Sure, it goes up a little bit and down a little bit and up a little bit. But I would say in general, it looks like the average was about 5%. And then we get to 2020 and something happened there. I totally forgot what happened, right? But our savings rate as a society, it went from the average 5% to 32%. This is actually in April of 2020, obviously, when the pandemic was like at its height, right? So, and we're gonna talk about why I'm sharing this in a second. And then obviously, yeah, it hovered here for a bit and then it went back down, basically back to right to 5%, right? Now, this chart, this is all going to make sense in a second. Just bear with me, okay? This chart is the personal consumption expenditures. So basically, it's like, how much stuff are we buying? How much stuff have we bought? So this is, again, years down here. So 2000 through 2024. And then this is in billions of dollars, really trillions of dollars, actually, okay? So it's saying 6,000 billion dollars, which is $6 trillion. So over the last 25 years, you can kind of see the trends of stuff of us buying things, right? It's way easier to buy things now. We are sometimes not even a click away, right? With our phones, we just need like our Face ID, and it just like stuff happens. Um, Connective pays, like everything's easier. Like shipping happens in 3 minutes. It's just way easier to buy stuff, to get stuff, and it's just there's way more options obviously now. Like there's more products, there's more competition, so it's just a great time to be a consumer. But at the same time, that just means we're going to keep spending more money, right? So during the 2008 financial crisis, okay, it didn't really peak back up, but then we're going up, 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 and then again we look here in 2020, and around that same time frame, our spending as a society went down like significantly. This is at like 15 billion. It went down to 12 billion, right? Over that pandemic period. And then obviously it reverted back to normal, and now we're back to normal, right? So the reason why I'm showing you this is because I think there's a direct correlation between us spending stuff and us saving. Like, why is it that our consumption keeps going up and up and up and up, but our saving is basically staying the same. And then the one time that we were literally like in some businesses, it was illegal to like buy their services, right? So think like you couldn't like go to a gym anymore for a little bit. You couldn't go to a restaurant physically. So there was just like less things for like you couldn't necessarily travel like airfare or things like that for a little bit, right? So there's all these things that people could not do anymore, and they're like, you know what? Instead of spending it on something, let me save the money. Does this kind of make sense for everyone? That's why I think it's just like this mental sort of mindset, and it could be really tough to hear because it's like if you're sitting there and you're month over month over month, like, oh man, why isn't this working? I can't figure this out. Um, I really like the concept of paying yourself first. So I think this average of 5% is great. But at the end of the day, I mean, look at this consumption line. Like if we're staying steady at 5% and the consumption is going up exponentially every single year, we're never going to be able to win. Like we need this to possibly also like if you want to spend more, I think you should maybe create a rule where it's like if I want to spend more, I need to save more. You know what I mean? Like have that trade-off where it's like um I don't know if I can really draw this, but or if it's going to make sense, but let's say you have to, so like, okay, you make $5,000 a month. Okay. Let's just say that for, as an example, a good rule of thumb is the 50-30-20 rule. Oops, 50-30-20. It's a good rule, but it's not, you don't have to like lock it in. But basically what this means is 50% of your income should go towards need items. 30% of your income should go towards want items, and 20% of your income should go towards people say saving, but I like saying financial goals. Financial goals. And this is obviously a framework, whatever, you don't have to follow it exactly. But with this math, right? So we would have, this would be $2,500 would be your need items. So again, think like the roof over your head. Oh, I didn't want to do all of it. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I'm gonna be so good at this tool. It's gonna be crazy. All right, but I'm not yet. I'm not there yet. $2,500, and then the want items. Let's do financial goals first. That's a little easier. So 1/5, it's going to be $1,000, and then this is going to be $1,500 approximately, right? Is there a way to make this? Yes, perfect. Okay. Right. So that would be like a simple sort of thing. So this is like, yeah, the roof overhead, utilities, groceries, like we need all these things, right? And then your want items, that's like this chart here. It's like, uh, I guess, groceries would be consumption, but you know what I mean? It's like buying stuff, right? Buying other stuff. And then the financial goals is saving money, paying off debt, I don't know, retirement goals, whatever. Now, if this feels, two things. First, I think the reason why this stays at 5%, the savings goal, is because this is the order that people prioritize their money. And let me know what you guys think about that. If you agree or disagree, would you say you prioritize them in this order? Or what I've seen is people do like, hey, like needs, wants, like as like one bucket. We don't really even think about breaking it up. And then we get to the end of the month and there is 0% for the financial goals. So you end up just like you go through the month, like things are happening fast in life, right? But we just buy stuff, we do stuff, we need stuff, and then the month's over. It's like, oh my God, I don't have anything for my financial goals. So what I would recommend is this. I think we should so obviously keep your need items. You have to be very honest with yourself about what you think a need item is. So it might be beneficial for you to make this like a little list here, like need, want, right? And then you make a little chart for yourself. That's a terrible line, right? And you just make a list of all those things and you just try to be very honest. So after the need items are fulfilled, then we do our financial goals, and that's say the $1,000. Again, the percentages could vary, right? And then whatever's left over, we have the want items. That way, we're sacrificing things that we care about less, um, potentially. And if we're serious about, because I mean, if you're still hanging in there with me 20 minutes into this video, I'm assuming that this part is very meaningful for you, the financial goals. I would also say, and let me just scroll up a little bit. If this sounds intimidating to you, like, oh my God, you look at your income, like, I can't save that much money every single month, then I wouldn't start with 20. I wouldn't get stressed about 20. So if you're at 0%, how do we go from 0% to 5%? How do you make a really small win? So, um, sorry, my brain is dead. So what is the math on that really quickly? $5,000 times 5%, $250. So like if you make $5,000 a month, could you save $250? And if you okay, like so your top things come out. So you have money set aside for your rent, for your mortgage, your utilities are, how much you spend on groceries, right? Whatever on your need item list is. And then immediately after that, it's $250 is gone. You shove it somewhere else. And then you have the remaining items for the want items. And then so basically by doing this, you just started the process. Instead of getting intimidated, like, wow, how am I supposed to save $1,000 next month? You don't have to. You don't have to. Um, this is not a hard and fast rule. It's just a good sort of framework. So, for example, I mentioned quickly in the beginning that my wife and I paid off $43,000 of debt. We did this process, and I wish I was like keeping track of it at the time of kind of like how we broke this out, but it was like, okay, yeah, we have our mortgage, right? We know all the stuff. And then it's like, okay, now we got to focus on the debt. And then the other want items are the things that we're going to sacrifice. So we said no to a lot of things like activities with friends or family that cost money. Um, 30 bucks here, 80 bucks here, 17 bucks here. We just said no to all that stuff and we just put it towards paying off our debt. And it kind of worked out better. I would just pick something that that you can do sustainably because it doesn't make any sense if it's not something that you can stick with for a long period of time. I would much rather have you do something that personally, I would much rather have you do something that you are consistent with and would stay with instead of like, I need to go really hard for 2 months and then you do that, but then you like, it's not sustainable. And then you go like revert back to the mean, right? So if you like save $500, then $500 and you're like, oh my God, I'm not having any fun or enjoyment in my life. And then you like end up going into debt for $300 the next month or something like that. Instead, I'd rather just have you do like 250, 250, 250, 250. And then once that feels good in terms of like your process, then it's like, okay, now can we stretch it to 10%? Let's challenge ourselves. And now we do the 500. And now we're talking. But along the way, like hopefully in a great situation, you're not going to be at the same income forever, right? So how do we keep having our income sort of increase as well? How do we have this keep increasing up and up and up, right? Because um, once this happens and you've built in a good structure of, okay, I have this framework here, the 50, 30, 20. That was a terrible little thing there. 50, 20, 30, sorry. And your income goes up and now you're making 6K a month. But now you still have the $2,500 need items, like that wouldn't change. You don't upscale your life. And then so you save money there. So that would be now like, I don't know the exact percentage, we'll say like 45%. And then if you're able to go from 500 to 1,000, now you are able to get to, what is that? That'd be like 16%. And then the want items, you could even, if you keep the want items at 15 by 4,000, so $2,000 savings, right? And you see how this could kind of like scale up. So this would be like 33%. And then this would be 25%, something like that. What is that? 70. I don't know. I'm off a little bit, but you guys get the concept. So once, you know, we don't scale our expenses with our income, but we try really hard to also increase our income. So I think the first and easy way to have more money is to sort of really look at the budget. I talk about the 3 month look back. So you go back 3 months, you look at what your spending used to be, and then you try to create a new budget based on those like averages that you see, and align it with your North Star goals, the things that you say matter to you the most. So then once you do that, then you realign your money, right? Because we only have so many resources, so we just have to realign it. And that's probably the easiest way to sort of find like quick little small wins, like $100, $200, maybe even $500 a month you could find if you like have just been very inefficient with your money and your finances. And then so that's kind of a shorter term process, and you can kind of stay consistent with that. But then over the long term, how do we keep growing our skills? I think that's the most important thing, and I think we need more focus on that. Um, so yeah, let me know what you guys think of that. I'm gonna jump into so we're gonna sort of check off this piece here. If you guys were vibing with that little well, the charts and everything, and let me know. But I'm gonna jump into Dollar Discipline University now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check. I think we had like 4 new members in the last few hours. So that's pretty cool. So Dollar Discipline University, the link's down in the description. Basically, I created this again because I think it's so important that more people have a understanding of what they need is I shouldn't say need what other opportunities they could be doing in their personal finances to save more money, pay off debt, just be more confident, right? And just have an idea of what's going on and not kind of looking the other way because it's so important to understand what's actually happening. Um, so what I'm doing now, every member that joins, and I'm gonna have to reach out to these 4 people, they get a free strategy call with me if they so wish. Basically, it's just if you kind of like this style of content, I suppose, where it's just raw and whatever. This is me. I'm just sharing myself with you guys. So if you like that, that's how the calls would go, and it's just a way to introduce ourselves. You talk about kind of where you are right now in your finances, maybe the thing that's the struggle, the challenge, the things that you've tried, and then kind of where you want to go. And then we try to figure out the messy middle for you. We can talk about some processes and things that I think would be best for you based on your certain situation. And yeah, there's a lot of really cool accountability sort of calls that we have in here. Um, Obviously, if people want to maybe speed up their process a little bit. There's ways to work more personally with me, and but really, I've set this up so that anyone can just join this community and watch this one video, and start either paying off debt or saving money within like a couple days, depending on how long it takes you to do it, right? But or how motivated you are. Um, I also wanted to call out that I have a free software tool for anyone inside the community. It's called Wealthway, and basically, it is a debt tracker. It is a budget tracker. There's dashboards, reporting, and you see all your transactions. Everything's in here. You could just sort of flow through month by month by month, and you could add transactions in here. So this is salary, right? Blah blah blah. Add the transaction. So I'm very proud of the debt section in here. You add your debts in here to track it. You can play around with like, hey, what would happen if I added more money to this? It shows you the snowball method, the avalanche method, the custom method. So if I show you that really quickly, so if I added $100 extra to the payments that I was currently making, for example, it would say like, hey, here's what that would look like using the snowball method. Hey, here's what it would look like using the avalanche method. And it tells you by doing this process, the avalanche method would save you $11,000. By doing this method, the snowball method pays off your first debt 25 months faster. So each of these strategies have their own advantages, which is very cool. So yeah, and then it just shows you kind of the plan generally. And then we can go into more detail of a payment schedule, and you can also play around with this. You can add extra money just to play around, and you can see the numbers changing down here as I'm typing. So it's very interactive. and you could see like, okay, we added an extra $100, and it's showing us that we added an extra $100. And this payment schedule is very cool because it will tell us all the payments that we need to make, and then it shows like when debts get paid off, this $200 would roll into the next one to just kind of show you the visually what would be happening. And then, yeah, it just kind of goes through the whole process until all your debt's paid off, which is very cool. So if any of that interests you, I'm doing beta testers inside the community. It's only for the community right now. And then eventually I'm going to push it out to the rest of the world. But if that interests you, feel free to let me know. And I think that's going to be it for tonight, guys. So if you have any thoughts, questions, anything like that, make sure to get them. Just ask away in underneath this video or another one that you watch. If something's maybe confusing you, or you didn't understand something, or you want me to re-explain something, let me know. That's why I'm here. Okay. So you guys are great. Have a lovely evening, and we'll talk tomorrow. Have a good one.